Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics.
Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 19. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the thundering Mike Christensen.
Booyakasha. Oh, I've used that one before.
You have used Booyakasha
well, you know
before.
What? It's a new year. We can reuse some
We can
stuff.
just reuse it?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't know.
Let's just throw on an old episode. And let's
exactly.
Just, sit by the fire.
Today we're going to talk about Punisher meets Archie.
Yeah.
That is actually weirdly foreshadowing of what we are going to talk about today.
No.
But the holidays came and went.
I went on my holiday traditions as well. I'm sure you did. Like hunting reindeer, battling snowmen in the Arctic.
I went on a mission to find myself with a bunch of lost, rejected toys.
Oh.
And try to kind of find what makes me me and what makes me unique and
that sounds like
special to the world.
It sounds like a very unique premise. So,
yeah.
I mean, that sounds excellent.
We're going to be talking about comics, as we always do. We've had a
Indeed.
chance to read some over the new year and get caught up. Jay, what comics should we be reading? What's on your pull list?
Well, my pull list for the new year is actually a new direction for a specific comic, and that is Batgirl. So, I'm sure you guys have heard about this. Batgirl issue 35 kind of took a different direction, not only visually, but with a creative team. And the new team is Brenden, Fletcher, and Cameron Stewart are the writers, and the artist is Tarr. And one of the biggest changes that everybody was talking about for a while was Batgirl's new look.
Yeah, they basically announced the change by dropping the new costume on the internet, and it was just like, hey,
And
here's what
everybody
she
went
looks like
crazy.
now. Here's what she looks like now, and everyone was like, I am on board, because it was a very distinct
Very different change.
look and style, similar to what happened with Spider-Gwen with Edge of Spider-Verse, where it's like, here's the costume, what we're doing, and everyone was like, you have all my money, because I am on board with this new direction.
I think it blew up beyond what they even expected. They were just like, yeah, this is probably going to be the new costume.
Absolutely, it did, yeah.
And I mean, a great change too, that they weave it into the story. And actually, let me explain a little bit about the different takes. So different costume aside, the real big change is that I feel the overall feel and I guess pulse of this comic is bringing it down. You know, it's Hawkeyeing it, I guess, if you could give it a type of adjective or description. It's basically taking that, like, you know, in these issues that Batgirl is going up against, she's going up against villains and conflicts that aren't like, you know, a guy who cuts off his face and like hangs dead bodies in like a meat locker or something like that. It's not like that crazy high,
normal
dark
Gotham
stakes.
Craziness.
So how it kind of kicks off is Babs, as she's called, kind of her shop or her warehouse where she keeps all of her gadgets and her costumes and all of her gear and stuff gets blown up. But it basically leaves Babs without any of her equipment. Literally nothing. She has to rebuild her costume from scratch, which is why we get the new costume, and of course everybody loves it.
Yeah,
and it's
the very sort of thrift store costume. Yeah.
Right. And even her story, outside of just losing her Batman side of her life, also her personal life changes. She moves to a new area, which is called Burnside. So this is kind of this hipstery neighborhood. It's like a lot of young people that live there.
Berkeley or Greenwich Village or that kind of thing.
Yeah. And here, like, all of her problems are very, not that they're like huge, like they're not like world-ending problems, absolutely, but they're also not like small problems, but they're much more personal, and they're much more tailored to kind of what people will go through in day and day. For example, her first villain is a guy who just blackmails people. He like hacks phones and takes their personal pictures and videos, and it's like, I'm gonna put it up on my black book this Saturday.
That's interesting from a timing perspective.
Very interesting.
Right around when that comic came out was when that big leak happened.
And that's the first villain she really tackles. Again, a person that does not stab or do chemical gas to all of Burnside. Just more of like it's affecting a personal friend of hers. So this is why she's kind of taking these on. And then after one of the other following villains, just to give you a second flavor, is she fights two people that are really into anime and really into like old Japanese like cartoon anime.
Okay.
That take it way too seriously and use maybe awesome rocket bikes with like katana swords to wreak havoc on a school that she goes to. That's a thing that could be happening as well.
Hypothetically.
So it's just a really kind of fun comic. It's a new, lighter take on Barbara Gordon, and there's still a lot of, you know, that same Batgirl that everybody loves, and that character, she's still, all of that is still contained, and they get a little bit even more personal with her and the roommates and the new environment she's in. So it's just a really more grounded take on the character, and I think they're going to do a lot of fun, cool stuff. And the art, by the way, is really fun. You know,
Yeah.
it does remind me a little bit more of like kind of like an Archie flair and less of like that dark, heavy shade tone that we're used to seeing in all Bat comics.
It's got, well, yeah, it's definitely not the house style of DC as we've come to know it, but it's got more of a cartoony, almost kind of like a Tumblr-y vibe.
That's
where
a good
it's
point.
like it feels like it could be really, really solid fan art.
You know what? It reminds me even a little of like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
a little
or
bit.
webcomics, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. But it's great. So guys, I definitely recommend checking out the new direction for Batgirl. Starts on number 35. Dive in. So Mike, what is your pull?
My pull is also not exactly a new direction, but definitely shedding a new light on a familiar character, and it's Storm from Marvel Comics.
Really?
Yeah, and I've been getting into X-Men a little bit more last year than I have in the past. I didn't grow up reading X-Men because no one does, because it's a black hole of continuity.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in X-Men, I think I remember.
We're going to be talking about X-Men a few more times this year because I've found some gems. But Storm is an interesting character because her backstory is that she was this, pickpocket in Cairo who then found this village in Kenya. It's later revealed to be Kenya, or retconned to be Kenya, and where they worshipped her as a god. And that's
normal for most teenagers.
And that's
right?
where we met her, because she has these weather controlling powers, and that's where she's introduced, which I always looked back at as like problematic from a racial sensitivity perspective, from a cultural sensitivity rather, where it's like, oh look, these indigenous peoples in Africa like worship this person as a deity because of the weather, and it's like, I know that mutants are not common, but it still felt like, would you though? Would you think she was a god?
You sure?
But the way that she carries herself is very much like someone who has been worshipped. Like, not just like she looks down on people, but she definitely looks at people from a perspective of wanting to help them and having the power to.
Or like, you want my guidance, right?
Yeah.
Like, you certainly should or could use my guidance.
And not in an arrogant way, but just like, she controls the weather.
You know,
she
a pretty
can
big force of
fly.
nature.
It's impossible not to kind of look down on people a little bit. And she doesn't, in the comics, she's not a person who looks down on people in a sort of totalitarian, she's not the Goa'uld from Stargate, she's not posing as a god because of power, but like, she does have this will, she wants to help people. And she feels a need to help people at all times. Sometimes whether they ask for it or not. And she was a queen for a while. Like when she was married, she was married to the Black Panthers. So the first issue is, there's this tsunami that she's dealing with, trying to, she prevents it, or to a degree. I mean, there's a certain amount of tsunami that's hard to prevent, even with weather powers. There's going to be some damage either way. But then she's trying to help out and help the people, but there's a very anti-mutant government in place. These people need her help, but like, can she get involved? Should she get involved? It seems like a straightforward, honest answer, but it obviously gets very complicated. Meanwhile, there's another sort of inverse issue with the school itself, because she's a teacher at the Jean Grey Academy, and there's a student there who maybe, should she butt into this person's problems? It feels like she should, but like, is that the right answer? And that's kind of the interesting thing, is that every issue sort of deals with helping people, and when do people ask for help? When do people need to ask for help? When should they be helped? And what I really like is that in the third issue, she goes back to Kenya. And she goes back and she encounters some of the people. She meets one of the old women who was there who remembers Storm.
From like when she was younger.
As a child. And Storm kind of comes clean and says, look, I don't know if I need to say this or what, I don't know, but I wasn't actually a god, and I don't know if anyone thought that. And the old woman says, we were in the worst drought that I'd ever seen. We knew that you were just like a crazy little girl, but we needed the rain. And she's not really apologizing. She's just sort of saying, like, I'm sorry that we indulged your fantasy.
Right. I mean, it's almost like,
but
hey,
we were using you the same way you were using us.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And it's really interesting. And again, that's an interesting comic because they know she's not a god, and she knows she's not a god, but she has this sense of duty to these people all the same. And that's really what the comic is about in a lot of ways. It's just a really interesting look at who she is and a really slice of life.
It's cool. Is she kind of like, is she kind of just traveling the world? It's more of like her...
She's more going where she needs to be. Okay. So like in the second issue, she finds out about a missing person, and it's just like, again, just one face out of 100 on, a telephone pole or something, but for some reason it bothers her. She's like, no, I don't know why, but I need to solve this one. And so she goes and she looks into it and tries to figure it out, and it obviously leads to someone in her past, because that's how comics work. But it's really well done. It's written by Greg Pak, who wrote Planet Hulk and wrote Incredible Hercules for a really long time. It's drawn mostly by Victor Ibañez, and he does a really great job with capturing just the majesty of the Storm, character, and also the real like visceralness of her world. It's really well done. Awesome. I think it's also, it holds your hand through the continuity. If you're just reading issue 2 and you're like, Storm and Wolverine are dating? And it's just like, well, you know what? Storm and Wolverine are dating. That's all you need to know for the story. Just move on.
We don't need to give you any more details. Why
they're dating?
I'm also a bit surprised by that. I didn't.
They are great together.
Awesome.
Because they are very strong-willed people.
Oh yeah,
and they're a really cool couple.
And one of them can get struck by lightning and totally be fine. And actually, both of them can get struck by lightning and be totally fine.
Well, Wolverine's got a little healing factor missing right now that led into the Death of Wolverine storyline, which I don't think we're going to discuss today.
No, we are not going to.
But suffice to say, I think you guys should check it out. It's a great series, and I'm really loving it.
Awesome. Okay, well, that takes us right into our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Archie meets Glee. No, really, that's exactly what happens. Guys, today we're talking about Archie. I sort of considered this to be like the conclusion of our like 3-part trilogy of Archie crossovers.
3-part trilogy of the Archie adventures.
Because we've done, well, we'll talk about Archie some more at some point, I'm sure.
I love it.
But we've done Archie Meets the Punisher.
Yep.
We've done Archie Goes to Comic-Con, where they met J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
And now we're doing another crossover, Archie Meets Glee. And this is a 4-part crossover.
This one is?
This one is.
Wow.
And again, the Comic-Con it was 1 issue. This is, again, it's written by Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, who writes Afterlife with Archie.
Right.
Which is their zombie comic. Their super serious zombie comic.
Very, very serious.
But it's drawn by Dan Parent in the Archie House style. Now, Jay, I don't know how familiar you are with Glee, but you're aware of the premise of it's a Glee club, it's a high school, they sing a cappella or whatever.
Let's put some honesty out there. I did watch some of the first season of Glee when it first came out. I mean, it was a huge, huge show. I believe it's still on.
It is in its final season. The final season starts in January.
So it was huge, you know. Some of the song numbers were, you know, their own kind of great takes. There's some really fun stuff there. I kind of teetered off towards the end of that first season. But I haven't heard about it. I haven't really been in tune with it since.
This is fun because this came out back in 2013. It was kind of early, season 2 or 3. So you'll kind of know enough, but I'll walk you guys through it.
Perfect.
But you knowing what you know about the Glee universe and the Glee world, and knowing what you know about the Archie universe, it's
the Gleeverse,
the perennial 50s style, you know, high school antics. I want to ask you, how do you think these two worlds meet up? These two characters,
now that I think about it, very easily, because like they do kind of fall into similar universes, I guess. A school that like has a lot of drama around just a Glee club would probably fit into the normal problems that Archie would have of just like everything is, you know, dramatic, and who's going to go with me to the sock hop is still super dramatic.
But also, I mean, they're perfectly in tune with each other.
Oh, yeah.
But mechanically, how do you think they get the characters together?
Does Archie join a Glee club and have to compete against them?
Okay, so that's your theory.
Yes.
Okay, because that's... I feel like
that's
the
first thought.
The logical answer. So, Dilton is an Archie character. He's the nerd. He's the inventor. He opens by typing in his digital diary, "It was just a typical day in the Archieverse, Riverdale."
What? Okay, well now I have a little bit of a hint of where we're going with this.
Archie is putting together some kids for band practice. Archie has a band called the Archies.
Yep.
They've been around for a long time. And they're preparing for Battle of the Bands. They're going up against Josie and the Pussycats.
Ooh,
who are a professional band.
Professional band.
So it's like
guys, if you don't remember, they play at professional conventions, people. They even bring multiple costumes.
That's true.
I mean, they're hardcore.
Dilton, meanwhile, is this nerd. He has invented a device called the Portal Porter.
Of course he did.
Which lets him communicate with a girl named Brittany in a high school in Lima, Ohio, in an alternate dimension. Brittany, I'm not sure if anyone really remembers, if you haven't watched the show or if you really know her. Brittany is a cheerleader on the show.
Oh my gosh, the blonde one?
Dumb as a bag of hammers.
Oh, fantastic.
She is so dumb. And so when she first met him, when she first opened her locker and found Dilton in there, she, A, thought he was imaginary.
Right.
And fine. And B, thought he was Artie, a version of Artie, the kid in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. Because they both have glasses.
That makes sense.
And they're nerds.
And I guess for her, that makes sense that she would only be able to make that many connections.
But here's the thing. He watches the world of Glee through her locker, and because of how the Glee universe works, everything important happens in front of lockers. Like,
of course
all of the scenes happen in lockers. He makes 2 observations. One is that all of the characters in Glee seem to have analogs to his friends. Archie and Finn, the quarterback leader, are very similar. Reggie and Puck are both like ladies' man and kind of jerks and jocks. Veronica and Rachel are both like divas, and they're all full of themselves, and they both have dads named Hiram. It's weirdly specific. Then there's like exceptions. There's like Betty and Quinn, who are both blonde, but Betty and Archie is very sweet and bubbly. Quinn is like very kind of backstabbing and conniving when she needs to be. And Glee has 2 gay characters. Archie has 1 with Kevin Keller. It's like, so it's not exactly the same. Oh, and also Mercedes and Jughead. Mercedes is like the sassy black girl in Glee.
Right.
Jughead is the overeating skinny kid in Archie. They have no connection. They are both named Jones.
Oh, there we go.
So he's wondering, like, is there some connection between these two? They're the ones who don't have analogs. That's his first observation. His second is that everyone in this Glee school seems to burst into song all the time, all over the school, and nobody questions it.
Nobody ever asks why.
And he is baffled by this.
Wait, so he actually
notices
really breaks it down.
That this is like the episode of Buffy where it's a musical, where he's like, no one talks about the musical in your world? Like, everyone sings in the cafeteria or in the library, and like, that's normal?
Nobody has asked questions about this, apparently.
But anyway, Dilton is going to cross over.
Right.
So he packs a bag, but right at that moment, the Glee club is practicing in their band room.
And maybe dancing.
I would assume.
Yep.
The Archie gang is practicing in their band room. Outside of Dilton's lab, which is in the school. Outside of the school, there is a football that comes crashing through the window, hits the controls.
Uh-oh.
Everything goes haywire. And
I love how science works in movies and or comics, that if you just hit a piece of equipment accidentally, you can just break physics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or this comic.
Yeah.
It just happens accidentally.
So some characters get crossed over. Characters from Glee and characters from Archie swap places. So in the Glee universe, we have Veronica, who again is the sort of rich girl, full of herself character.
Right.
Jughead, who's the skinny kid with the paper crown who loves to eat. Reggie, who's the jock and the jerk, and Dilton, the nerd, along with a couple of girls who don't. Nancy and Ginger are there, but they are not relevant at all to the story. So they are also there. Dilton, appropriately enough, calls it a crisis in the spirit of DC's...
wonderful. The Infinite Crisis,
well,
Final Crisis, all of the crises.
Every DC comic about a multiverse is called a crisis.
Yep.
And then in the Archie universe, we have Rachel from Glee and Quinn. Rachel's the prima donna.
Prima donna.
Quinn is the sort of manipulative, mean girl. Brittany, the super, super dumb cheerleader.
Very dumb.
And Blaine, the boyfriend of Kurt.
Yeah.
Are all there. They're trying to figure out what happened. Archie hears them say Glee Club, and he goes, oh, you can sing? Well, we have this band. And, Veronica in Glee gets a face full of slushy, because this is a thing that happens in the Glee verse all the time.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, in Glee, people just throw slushies at you at school all the time. Do they ever show the slushy machine? Like, do they ever reveal the origins of how all these kids have slushies?
It's just churning all the time. There's just one guy just cranking.
Some guy with a dream to open up a slushy business is killing it in Ohio right now.
But he's like, at what cost?
At what cost?
These nerds!
I'm destroying lives, but all the money. This is really the backstory.
Exactly.
We've got to find more about.
Issue 2 opens with Dilton trying to explain everything that happened, but he can only explain it to the Glee kids.
Okay.
And sort of be like, here's what's going on. I can build a new one.
Now, were these Glee kids, like, when he was looking through the locker, was it, like, pictures of the actual actors, or were they all drawn in Archie style?
Everyone's drawn in the Archie.
Okay, I didn't know, because, we had
style.
Punisher and Archie was mixing.
That's true, they did.
So who knows?
But no, they are drawn in the Archie style.
Okay.
And they pull it off pretty well, with one exception. Matthew Morrison, who plays Will Schuester, the teacher.
The teacher of the Glee Club.
He looks ridiculous, because they cannot figure out what to do with his hair.
Awesome.
It's sort of it's wavy, but they can't decide what color to make it, and, like, mercifully, he's in very little of the story. Because, A, he looks ridiculous, and B, guys, we can all be honest, that's a terrible character. Yeah. I mean, I watched 2 seasons of the show, and he's garbage. So, he's just a terrible character.
I didn't watch a lot of the show, but I do remember him being garbage.
He was awful. But anyway, Dilton's going to build a new Porter. It could take weeks. And they're like, but no, we got regionals coming up, because of course there's always regionals.
There's always regionals, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on.
And he's like, we need to get some of our strongest voices back, but try to wait it out. I'm going to build the new device, and in the meantime, we can't have a lot of cross mixing of realities. Like we kind of gotta keep our hands to ourselves. Everybody, be on your best behavior. And Reggie, the cocky ladies' man from Archie, is like, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen because all these hot girls around. In the Archie universe, the kids don't have Dilton to explain it. They do have Brittany.
Oh God!
So she tries to explain it, and then Chuck is the other nerd. He's a comic book nerd. I like Chuck because he's an athletic black kid. Like, he just happens to be, I don't know how it came about, but he's the comic nerd.
Okay.
And I like that he's separate from the dweeby glasses wearing classic nerd. I love that that's two characters.
Right, two separate.
Because normally those are the same guy.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
It's Urkel.
One person.
It's always Urkel.
Right, exactly.
It's also like, yeah, no, guys, I know enough about comics to know we kind of got to keep our hands to ourselves and kind of got to, be cool. But I'm sure Dilton's working on this.
Is this a rule that I'm unaware of, that fooling around in parallel universes
you just don't
can leave?
You don't know what the consequences are.
Oh, okay.
It's not your world. You don't know what could happen.
I just love, though, that that's specifically what they focus on. It's not like, don't eat food or, like, talk to someone that looks like you. It's specifically, don't hook up with other people.
Well, they're high schoolers.
Right.
And it's Glee and Archie.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the audience.
That's mostly what they're, what they're dealing with.
Rachel is freaking out. Because she says, literally, it's been more than 15 minutes, and none of us have burst into song. Where is the band? Where's the underscoring that's always playing underneath our lives? This is bad.
So she actually recognizes that this is, like, a constant thing. It's
Once
not like...
it's gone, she at least is very aware that this is wrong.
Wow.
But anyway, Chuck says, like, let's just, keep our... lay low, don't mess around with lives. He doesn't say fool around, but what he means, because Puck, the cocky ladies' man of Glee, says, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
So I love how both of the jocks on either side have agreed that they are not going to play by those rules.
Absolutely. Rachel, of course, mortified. There's no Glee Club in Archieverse. Mortified.
Destroyed.
But she and Blaine and Mercedes all audition to join the Archies. And of course they get in. The manager of Josie and the Pussycats, Alexander Cabot, has apparently bugged the school and is listening and knows about the new kids who are joining the Archies.
Oh, wow.
And he tells the Josie and the Pussycats, he tells them, like, look, I know we volunteered to do this because of, like, it'll be a nice benefit and things, but we've got a new album coming out, we've got a world tour coming up, and we cannot lose to these kids. Like, we just straight up can't. I don't really care about Blaine, I don't really care about Rachel, but Mercedes Jones must join the Pussycats.
Mercedes Jones must join us.
Sue, the ridiculously cartoonishly evil coach from Glee.
Yep.
Who is...
By the way, she is, if you don't know Glee again, she is a coach who is constantly trying to destroy the Glee team.
Yeah.
Like, that's all she does.
That's all she wants in life.
Which is a very weird thing to focus on and on your day-to-day life, but it is what she does. She just only wants to destroy these singing kids' lives.
In the comics, she's, like, way cartoony. She's, like, stomping her feet and jumping up and down.
She's already pretty cartoony,
Yeah,
so...
it's bizarre. But she, whatever reason, picks a fight with Jughead. She sees him, she doesn't like the cut of his jib, and here's the thing, she enjoys, obviously, tormenting people and enjoys it when they suffer. Jughead doesn't really care. Jughead's, like, always just, like, a hair's breadth from a food coma. Like, he's just, like, he's literally drawn with his eyes closed most of the time. Like, just as his sort of smug smirk, like,
that makes sense as to exactly how I imagine him. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't hear most conversation directed at him.
He just doesn't think of them as insults most of the
Right.
time, which riles her up more and more, and she's trying to get him to take off his paper crown, and Dilton's, like, freaking out. He's like, no, we can't let that happen, and, like, breaks them up, and it's like, and Archie's like, or it's not Artie, the wheelchair nerd.
The string that holds these universes together is his crown.
Well, he says, why would that be so bad? He's like, any sort of close molecular contact, anything like that could be really, really dangerous. And Artie's like, why? And Dilton says, let me put it this way. If Rachel Berry kisses Archie Andrews, 2 universes could die.
What?
And Artie says, well, that's not going to happen. Because Rachel and Finn are totally devoted to each other. So you're fine. Although Finn is a guy, so we may want to just make sure that Veronica's not hitting on him. And they go, and Veronica is totally about to make out with Finn.
Oh, no.
Using the rationale that, like, well, if Rachel's not in your reality, it's like she doesn't exist, so it's like you're single. Why don't we just make out?
Oh, very clever.
And here's the thing. Finn is dumb, too.
He's also very dumb.
Finn was the dumbest character on the show until they introduced Archie. I'm sorry, not Archie. What? Until they introduced Brittany, who is just leaps and bounds way dumber.
Right.
She's plot dumb.
Yes.
She's as dumb as she needs to be for the joke.
Indeed.
And he is just sort of, like, functionally just not functional, I guess, is really how I describe him. And they kind of play Archie a little dumber than usual to kind of make the connection a little closer. Although maybe that's just because I've been reading zombie Archie comics where he's a zombie hunter.
Right.
So maybe he's normally much dumber.
He's actually more capable in that issue.
Yeah. But anyway, they go and they break up Veronica and Finn. They basically say, Artie says, look, Finn, like, even if she was dead, Rachel would still kill you for making out with someone else. And he's like, oh, no, you're right. That actually has a really good point.
It is.
And they're like, all right, well, the crisis is averted. Meanwhile, we see in the Archie universe, Puck asking Betty out on a date.
Oh, no.
And the caption says, if Betty kisses Puck, 2 universes will die. I
love how it says instead of 2 universes will be destroyed, it's die.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's issue 2.
Wow.
Issue 3 opens with Puck.
The stakes of kissing are at their all-time high.
And that's really what these worlds are perfect for.
Yeah.
Because in these comics and TV shows, everything hinges on the kiss.
Right.
That's the thing that once that happens, there's no going back. Except there totally is. But you know what I mean.
Of course. But in this case, it's not just like, I'm sad and mad at you for a while. It's like, we destroyed a universe
it would
because
be terrible.
of it.
2 of them.
2 universes.
Because they're linked at this point. They
That's
are linked
true.
to each other. Puck takes Betty out on a Riverdale-style date. They go to the movies, and he does the whole yawn and do the arm around the shoulders thing. And it's like she knows what he's doing.
Right.
But she doesn't say anything, and she doesn't sass him. And she's like, all right, cool, I'm fine with this. And they go to get milkshakes, and it's like, he's like, this is not how I don't normally do dates like this, but that's kind of nice. I kind of like this, and it's working, so...
this might be my new favorite thing.
And then Cheryl Blossom, who's sort of the X factor in the Archie Jughead... Or sorry, not Jughead. The Archie, Veronica, Betty romance is Cheryl Blossom, the red-haired girl who sometimes comes in.
Does she occasionally come in and disrupt the whole
She's like the
business?
black cat of the Peter Parker of it all. Like,
Right.
She comes in and she's the X factor you're not expecting. And she comes in and she's salting Betty's game, and she and Puck share a milkshake. And he is totally fine with this.
Of course.
In the Glee universe, Veronica and Kurt become friends, and Veronica joins the Glee Club. Meanwhile, Alexander Cabot and the Josie and the Pussycats in the Archie universe recruit Mercedes, or they try. But she takes the stance that she sometimes does on the show, where it's like, look, I don't want to be a backup person. So if you want to change the name, Mercedes and the Pussycats, and they're like, get out. No, we're done.
We're already a world-renowned band. Probably would affect our brand recognition.
The album is done.
Yeah. The art is here. Like, it's right there.
There
These
are
are the
posters
CDs.
everywhere.
I say CDs. These are the iTunes covers.
At this point, CDs would have been still...
That's true.
Still to a degree. Actually, no. 2013.
No, I'm still wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. Anyway, Betty seeks Quinn's advice. They're in the same universe at this point, on how to deal with Cheryl Blossom. She's like, look, you seem like you know what you're doing as far as men, and I've never known how to deal with someone else. I mean, she and Veronica have been competing over Archie for like 70 years. So she's like, look, I just don't know how to deal with someone else coming in. I've never known how to deal with that. And so the advice Quinn gives apparently is throw a slushie on Cheryl. So Betty does. Betty throws a slushie on Cheryl while she's flirting with Puck, then goes in and makes out with Puck.
And it works?
Oh yeah, it works. He's fine with it. He likes.
Now our slushy guy can franchise into the Archie universe. His business is growing.
Then everyone in all these schools is like, guys, you may want to look outside, and the Earth is in the skies over Lima and over Riverdale.
Wait, so their Earths are about to collide?
Yeah.
Oh my.
The Earths are going to hit each other now.
Was this because of the kiss?
Yes.
Oh god.
The minute they kiss, there's like lightning in the sky, and then there's another planet there.
This is pretty amazing.
That's issue 3. And the final issue, guys, issue 644.
Okay.
Opens with, Chuck, again, the comic book nerd, knows from comics that how parallel universes work. He's been, ever since this happened, going back and looking through his old back issues and trying to find the things to actually figure out how to solve the problem.
Right.
And he says he knows that parallel universes function off frequencies. Basically, they exist in the same place, just on different frequencies.
Just on a different wavelength, yeah.
So you don't interact with them. So the best way to deal with it is to use sound to try to repair the damage. So they need to get someone...
Oh, God.
in each reality...
Oh, my God.
To sing simultaneously.
Perfect.
And match the wavelengths.
Oh, man. So they have to put on the ultimate a cappella rock concert to save the universe.
Well, no, because the problem is they're in different realities.
Okay.
They have to get Rachel and Kurt, who are, again, separated. Rachel is in the Archieverse, Kurt's back home.
And they were always, like, rivals on the show, right?
For a long time. And they reference the fact that they sang Defying Gravity, and they match it really, really well together. So they have to find, they're like, that's the song. How do we get the message to Kurt? How do we get the message to the Glee universe? Well, again, Archie and Finn seem to be the analogs. They're both kind of dumb. So they basically, Chuck says, we have to get Archie to go to sleep so he can meet Finn in the collective unconscious.
Oh my god.
So-
This comic has leaped a lot of genres. Jesus.
So, but here's the thing, the collective unconscious, like, more or less is a thing. Like, people go to sleep and they walk down memory lane in Archie, which is a place.
Memory Lane is a place in the Archie universe.
In the dreamland, like...
So, like, there are issues where they're like, yeah, I was just in the collective unconscious. And,
Well, no, there's a lot
went
of
by
comics-
old Barnaby's bookstore.
No, there's just a lot of comics that are like, oh, I walked down memory lane, and we see what-if stories. Or,
Oh, okay.
I mean, Life with Archie, the one where we got to see two versions of the marriage,
So it's an abstract
is
location that they
walking
reference.
up memory lane.
Oh.
So it's like this weird constant in
Okay.
this nether sort of space.
Sure.
But anyway, Rachel sings Archie to sleep, and they know he's gonna find Finn.
She sings him to sleep.
Yeah, just like she did with Finn that one time in that one episode that they referenced. That's
Of
the thing
course.
is they use like editor's notes to be like episode 16 or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And Finn just takes a lot of naps, so they think it's a pretty good bet that they're gonna.
He'll probably get tired sometime soon.
They meet each other on memory lane. They kind of compare notes about like, oh hey, you're that person, and they compare notes about like having to choose between two girls. Again, Archie has been unable to choose between Betty and
He
Veronica.
is the worst boyfriend.
He's not a boyfriend either. He's just dating them both.
Is the perfect defining of not committal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Finn has similar problem because he's on a teen show. But he
True.
says, like, look, man, I know it seems hard. I've been there. But, you know, if you really look inside yourself, you'll know who you truly love. And Archie's like, I don't know, man. He's like, no, man, you do. Like, imagine that you were... And they're there. They're seeing... This, they're like, imagine you're on a beach, you're stranded on a desert island, and who would you want to be with? And they see this girl come up, and her face is half Betty, half Veronica.
Oh, God.
And she literally tells Finn, don't be putting any ideas in our Archie's head. We have a system in our universe, and it works just fine, thank you. Like, don't bring your version of drama to our world.
Amazing. This is just what we do, guys.
Like-
We've accepted it.
I know you have to have serialized like drama that carries on, and you have to interact with sweeps in November and May. Like, you have to worry about ratings. Like,
This is an institution, folks.
That's exactly right. Like, this is what we are.
Yeah.
Don't mess with it. It's
awesome.
amazing. But then they're like, oh yeah, so by the way, tell Kurt to sing Defying Gravity at noon. Like, that's like,
Oh, yeah, that last bit.
the reason I'm here.
Right, why were we both here?
So they both sing it at the same time, and it doesn't work.
Oh, no.
So basically, the Earths are going to collide.
Oh,
And it's just like, well, okay, that's going to happen. So they both respectively decide to go through with Battle of the Band and regionals to help prevent panic. To prevent widespread panic, to give people something to focus on. They're each going to go about business as usual.
honey, I know I should be thinking about my kids and unpacking the house and maybe getting underground because these Earths are going to hit us in about 5 minutes, but God damn it, You've Lost That Love and Feeling is a great tune.
But anyway, at Battle of the Bands, Blaine comes to the Pussycats and he says, look, if the world's going to end, I don't want to sing against my friends. I want to sing with them. I'm sorry, guys. I know that seems like a chump move. And they're like, no, man, we get it. We actually agree. Screw it. Let's not make it a competition. In the spirit of everything
Just rock out
ending,
together.
let's just rock out together. Let's just have a super band.
Excellent.
Basically. In the Gleeverse, an almost exact same conversation happens with their rivals, the Warblers, who really haven't been a factor in this comic. But they're like the rival.
But hey, you know, you need them in there.
And they're like, no, man, we'll sing with you guys too. So in both universes, they both have these super bands singing the same song, which is the biggest hit at the time.
What was it?
Call Me Maybe.
Oh, wow.
Remember?
Dude, I do remember when Call Me Maybe was the biggest song.
That may be the most specifically dating thing in this comic. And I'm not saying that song is super dated, but it's like, wow,
But I mean-
that is when this takes place.
Yeah. But I mean, still, like, you know what? I accept that just because we all remember when that song had just come out. I mean, literally everybody was singing Call Me Maybe.
It was everywhere.
Like, every age group, the whole world maybe at some point. Maybe
Yeah.
we prevented a parallel universe from slamming into something,
think
but
we did.
Probably did, because how much that song was played.
Yeah, so when they sing, the sky opens up above them and everyone's brought back to their appropriate realities.
All thanks to Call Me Maybe.
All
Available
thanks
now
to-
on iTunes.
And then over the next few days, the memories start to fade. Brittany and Cheryl are...
they don't remember their crossover.
No, like in the Archie verse, like Betty and Cheryl are mad at each other, but Cheryl doesn't really remember why. Reggie shaves his head into like a Puck-style mohawk.
That's awesome.
But he doesn't remember why.
That's great that there's like little traits.
Yeah,
of it.
like Puck wants to take Quinn to go get like milkshakes, and she's like,
awesome.
"You don't take me out on dates. That's like weirdly not
How did you get better somehow?
And that's why Dilton's typing it all up. That's why the framing device has been him typing in his digital diary, because he knows he's gonna lose it. He knows it's starting to fade. He's got like the last of it holding on. He's like, I don't know if I'll find this and just think this is this weird made up fantasy story or whatever.
This weird fanfic I wrote.
Exactly. But he's like, you know what? It was, he types it up so there's some record of it. And we got to, in the Glee universe, Brittany sitting there telling her cat, she remembers all of it. She remembers
she does.
all of it.
She is just a secret genius and master of parallel dimensions.
She is the strangest thing.
That's amazing. Oh my god. I love that 2 universes were saved by 2 super rock groups singing Call Me Maybe.
And here's the thing, because I've talked to people about this. Once I read it, before we recorded it, I was like, I have to talk to people about this.
I have to tell someone
and
about
I posed
this.
each of them the question I posed you, and they all had the same answer. Maybe there's some sort of battle of the bands, or, Glee Club, they joined the Glee,
Half
whatever.
right.
You're half right, but really think about what that comic would have been.
Yeah,
it would have been boring. It would have been
boring.
a waste of... Here's what makes it
Guys,
relevant.
I wasn't going to get a giant Earth about to slam into another Earth because somebody kissed somebody else.
That is all Aguirre-Sacasa. That is bag.
Amazing.
But also, like, it really makes the life and death repercussions of the relationship. The same way that in Punisher Meets Archie, you have a doppelganger of Archie who is dating Veronica, because it makes it like life and death. It makes it like
a big thing. It takes the same machinations of their standard stories, but just makes the results of them world-ending or criminals or Punisher guns shooting
perfect,
somebody.
It's perfect for a crossover because
yeah.
you have to up the stakes. Whatever's at stake has to be double. It can't just be Darkseid. It has to be Darkseid with the Phoenix Force. Whatever it is. So and that's exactly what this is. This is if Puck and Betty kiss, 2 universes will die.
Will die, everybody.
And they almost did.
They almost did. That was an awesome main segment, Mike. All right, guys.
It's better than you think it is. That's the thing I found.
That is, surprisingly better than I would have thought it would be.
Yeah.
Guys, that was our main segment, and that's going to take us into our game, Super-Mundane. Alright guys, this is Super-Mundane. Like usual, I'm going to throw out a mundane task or activity, and we're going to have to decide which hero of Marvel or DC, and we have to limit it to those 2 because there is a lot out there,
There's
guys.
a lot of options.
Which hero of Marvel or DC is going to be the best or worst at this specific activity? So here we go. Who would be the best babysitter?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think as a babysitter, you have to balance like 2 very different things. You have to be caring and nurturing, but you also have to be able to be stern and very responsible.
That's true, because my initial instinct was, let's pick someone who's fun, like Plastic Man. Now, obviously, he's not a responsible person, but...
Well, Plastic Man is actually pretty cool.
But he's not really responsible. He's not someone you put in charge. He's stern. No, he's not, actually. I'm sorry. That's where it falls apart. He's not stern at all.
No, not at all. He would just be like, whatever you want to do.
I feel like he's a bad choice because of that. Like,
Exactly,
he's got playfulness, but that's not what you need in a babysitter.
No. All the chocolate, all for you. That's not going to be good.
Exactly wrong.
So not Plastic Man. Now, Flash might be a good one.
I think that superpower is an excellent choice. And I think if you get the right Flash on the job, you definitely have a good candidate there.
Would it be Wally West, I guess?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because Wally West is...
Barry's a one-note Flash, let's all be honest.
But Barry might be what you want.
True.
Barry's the one who had the sidekick first, and Wally's a kind of a goofball.
That is true, he did have a sidekick.
But then again, Wally was a sidekick. Wally has that sort of, I've been a kid, and now I've sort of grown up and matured, and I have the sidekick and impulse, and, maybe he's the better bet, because he is more of a personal character, and, like, he has more personality, which means he will identify with the kids, and the kids will identify with him. I'm sorry, this is a very meta discussion of whether or not people identify with Barry Allen.
That's true.
But that's kind of the issue.
It does make sense. And I mean, look, the guy's the fastest man alive. A baby's like falling off a thing, or a kid's about to drop something on the ground. He's going to get there fast. And he might have a joke for the kid as well.
He would have a lot of fun entertaining them, and what he would do is he would match pace with them. Babysitters tire themselves out.
And Flash never tires out.
He's going to tire these kids out, and they're going to sleep like logs.
That's true.
That is a scene I can picture really well with Wally.
And I guess, yeah, if he was able to deal with Impulse, he can probably deal...
That's a good point.
...with any kind of kid scenario, because Impulse is, like, the worst case scenario to have as someone you have to babysit.
Impulse is, as his name suggests, he is id.
He is id incarnate, and he is super fast. So, I mean, what could be worse, really, is in a kid?
Yeah. And so I think Flash is a really good answer. I think Wally West is a really good answer.
Safe answer for that. Okay, so who would be the worst babysitter?
Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain Marvel!
Captain Marvel would be really bad. For those who may not know the character, Captain Marvel is a kid.
He is a kid.
He is an 8-year-old, 12-year-old boy.
And just like you say, you don't want a kid babysitting a kid. It just doesn't work.
But the problem with him is that he's a kid who looks like an adult. He says Shazam, he becomes an adult, but he has the mind and personality of a kid. He is going to enable the kids he's babysitting. He is not terribly responsible. I mean, yes, he's got the wisdom of Solomon. Yes, he is a member of the Justice League. Yes, I know. But he's got a best friend who's a talking tiger. He is not a symbol of maturity. He's a power fantasy. He's a child's fantasy.
And he also might enable the kid on oh, you're not like that cool or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I am that cool. I'll show you. I'll take you on this thing. We're gonna fight this robot in the city.
He would take things personally.
Yes.
Because there's always that moment where you test the babysitter's limits.
Right.
And Wally West would be able to shrug it off. He would just sort of grumble about it. But
because Wally West has been scolded by Lex Luthor
and Batman, and he's
had to
been
get
around,
paraded by Batman on day in and day out. You got to develop some tough skin.
and he's been at birthday parties. You've seen Wally West have to deal with humiliating situations, but he can get through it. Captain Marvel is a kid, and it is all personal to him. So because you're at that age where if someone says you're a monkey, but well you are and it's this big guy with the voice of Rob Lowe, or
even more so, imagine the kid telling him stuff about this bully did this. He's like, this bully did what? Let's go
mess with him.
Let's go mess with him. Shazam style.
He wouldn't hurt him,
right?
But it would be it's not ideal.
Yeah,
he's not the worst because there's worse. He's the worst person you would actually look as an option.
Because guys, you're not gonna. Someone might be thinking, what about Deadpool? You're not gonna have Deadpool
use the same people over and over again.
Exactly.
We've used Deadpool and Lobo and Punisher. There's some that are immediately off the table because we've done them before.
But you would probably look at a first glance, Captain Marvel or Shazam, I think is they're calling him now. You would look at him and say, yeah, you look like a very, strong, upstanding citizen. You could totally take care of my kid.
Even if you know he's a kid, you can think of that as an advantage, and it's not.
No.
It's a disadvantage because you have to be apart from them. You really have to be removed at an age to have any authority over people. It's why you have to wait to, teach before you've been out of college for a little while. You have to, you can't teach college right away, or you shouldn't teach college right away because you have to be...
You haven't made that disconnect yet.
Exactly. You could be teaching people you went to school with.
Right.
And, that's the same problem. He could be babysitting his friends.
Oh, yes, that's true.
While I think that would be a delightful comic...
Hilarious comic,
I want to read it.
Yeah, I'd love to read that.
But it's not who you want.
Exactly. As we know, he would learn a lesson because it went so poorly.
Or he just shrug at the end and be like, well, that happened.
It's a Tuesday. All right, guys, so definitive answer, probably best babysitter is going to be Wally West, the Flash, and we've got Shazam or Captain Marvel as our worst. All right, guys, well, that was episode 19 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's ARC with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at partialarc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at supergeekmike.com. Thanks for listening, and remember...
They called me Mr. Glass. That is Shyamalan's best film. And I like more Shyamalan movies than other people do. I even like I even like the one with Rosie O'Donnell in it.
What? Because comics.